Welcome to Everwood, where ancient legends find new life. Today, we bring you a magical story of an unexpected friendship, a broken promise, and the true meaning of loyalty. On a bright afternoon, a young princess, adorned in a flowing gown, wandered into the heart of an enchanted forest. She found solace by a crystal-clear spring, where she often played with her most treasured possession, a golden orb. She tossed it into the air, watching it sparkle under the sunlight, only to catch it again with practiced ease. But fate had a trick to play. With an eager throw, she miscalculated her grip, and the orb slipped through her fingers. It bounced once, then twice, before plunging into the deep waters of the spring. The princess gasped, kneeling at the water's edge, but the orb was nowhere in sight. Tears welled in her eyes as she mourned her loss. "Oh, if only I could have my golden treasure back. I would give up my jewels, my silken gowns, everything I own." A ripple disturbed the water's surface, and from the depths emerged a small green frog. "Why do you weep so, dear princess?" he asked, his voice soft yet firm. She wrinkled her nose at the sight of the creature. "My golden orb is lost in the spring, and there is no way to retrieve it." The frog tilted his head. "I can fetch it for you, but I ask for something in return," she scoffed. "What could a frog possibly want?" "Only your kindness," he replied. "If you let me dine at your table, rest upon your cushion, and treat me as your companion, I shall return your beloved orb." The princess, doubting his ability to follow through, nodded quickly. "Yes, yes, whatever you wish. Just bring me my orb." Without hesitation, the frog dived below the surface. Moments later, he reappeared, the golden orb glistening in his mouth. He released it onto the grass before her, and she clutched it with delight. Overcome with joy, she forgot the frog and hurried back to the palace, leaving him behind. That evening, as she dined in the grand hall, an unfamiliar sound echoed through the corridors. Tap, tap, slosh, slosh. Then came a gentle knock at the door. A tiny voice called out, "Princess fair, so bright and true, keep the promise made to you. By the water there we spoke. Do not let your word be broke." Her heart pounded. She had not expected him to come. When she hesitated, her father, the king, gave her a stern glance. "You must honor your word, my child." With reluctance, she rose and opened the door. There, looking up at her with glistening eyes, sat the frog, patient and waiting. The princess hesitated, her fingers gripping the edges of her silk gown. "I told him he could stay with me, but only because I never believed he could leave the spring. And now, here he is at the door." As she spoke, another knock echoed through the grand hall. "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here. Remember the promise made that day, by the water's edge in the forest's shade." The king, his expression firm yet kind, nodded toward the door. "You have given your word, my daughter. Now you must honor it." With reluctance, the princess walked across the room and unlatched the heavy door. The frog, small yet determined, hopped inside, moving across the polished floor with a rhythmic tap, tap, slosh, slosh. He stopped at the foot of the table where the princess sat and looked up at her expectantly. "Lift me to the chair," he said. "Let me sit beside you." Swallowing her reluctance, she obeyed, placing him gently on the seat next to hers. "Bring your plate closer," the frog continued. "I wish to share your meal." Though her stomach twisted with distaste, she complied, pushing her golden plate toward him. With each hesitant bite he took, she forced herself to look away. When the meal ended, the frog stretched, his small limbs shaking from exhaustion. "I am weary," he announced. "Carry me to your chambers and let me rest upon your pillow." The princess stiffened. She had done as he asked thus far, but this was too much. Yet, under the watchful gaze of her father, she had no choice. She scooped up the damp creature and carried him upstairs. With great reluctance, she placed him on the pillow beside her. That night she barely slept, cringing at the presence of the tiny creature beside her. But when dawn broke, he was gone. Relief flooded her chest. At last, he has left, she thought. But that evening, just as she was settling in for dinner, the familiar sound returned. Tap, tap, slosh, slosh. "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here." Remember the promise made that day, by the water's edge in the forest's shade. Her heart sank. He had come back. For 3 nights the same events repeated. He dined at her table, rested upon her pillow, and vanished with the morning sun. But on the 4th morning, something changed. As the first rays of dawn illuminated the chamber, the princess turned her head and gasped. The frog was gone. In his place stood a young man, his gaze warm and filled with gratitude. His golden hair shimmered in the soft morning light, and his voice, rich and velvety, sent shivers down her spine. "You have broken the spell," he whispered. The princess blinked in astonishment. "I was once a prince," he explained, "but a vengeful enchantress cursed me to live as a frog until a princess showed me kindness, shared her meal, and allowed me to rest beside her for 3 nights. His lips curled into a smile. "Because of you, I am free. And now, if you will allow me, I would like to take you to my kingdom where we shall rule together." A golden carriage drawn by 8 magnificent horses awaited outside, their manes adorned with shimmering plumes. At the helm sat the prince's loyal servant, a man who had never given up hope despite years of despair. The princess, her heart now softened, took the prince's hand. Together they stepped into the carriage, bound for a kingdom where happiness awaited. And so they ruled with wisdom and love for many years to come. This tale reminds us of the power of keeping our promises and looking beyond appearances. Did you enjoy this magical adventure? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another legendary tale from Everwood. Until next time, keep believing in the magic of stories.